Okay, hey everybody, welcome to Young Adult Edition. I am so excited to be back after our hiatus. We are here with Abby Reed. She is the author of When Planets Fall, and I am so excited because we have some really great stuff for you today. So let's do our little intro real quick, and then we'll bring Abby on. All right, Abby, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
I'm so excited. This is the first time you and I have talked in person. So we talk a lot through Twitter and through social media, but we haven't actually seen each other face to face. This is our first time.
I know, it's so exciting.
It is so exciting, right? And we're really excited. We've been talking for days because this episode involves glitter.
Oh man, I've got a packet right here. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but it is sparkly and it's gold, and I'm really excited.
We like sparkly. All right, guys, I see that people are joining us right now. Welcome, Lissa. Welcome, Amber. Thank you so much. There's a chat box over to the right side of the screen. Go ahead, pop your comments in there as we go. You can ask questions. You can talk with each other. I'm seeing more people are joining us. Yay, I'm so excited to have you guys. This is awesome.
Hi,
I'm going to be monitoring that chat room. Hi. And let us know what you're thinking. There's a red question mark that if you have a specific question, feel free to use that. That'll flag it for us so that we know that it's a question rather than just a comment. So we would love to hear from you anytime throughout the course of this show. Let us know. All right, so Abby, tell me, how are you doing today? Everything good?
Everything's good. I'm here. I got my glitter. I've got Dr. Pepper. My big fluffy dog is sleeping at my feet, so it's a good day.
You are prepared.
I am prepared.
My fluffy puppies are upstairs, so you won't be hearing from them today. I love puppies. I'm such a fan. I know you've got two dogs, right? Tell me a little bit about them.
I do. I've got the one next to me is an Irish Doodle, so he's half Irish Setter. We got him to be my almost like a therapy dog. And after about a year of living with me and sleeping next to me all the time, he's actually started to be able to alert me to some migraines. So he's not an official therapy or service dog, but he's pretty close. And then my other one is a golden doodle named Athena. And she's a butt right now because she tore a ligament in her knee. So she's not allowed to play or do anything. So she'll just sit there and tear up things and is such a spaz. And yeah, but she's Apollo's buddy. That's why we have her.
That's so funny. I've got two dogs who are just angels, and then my little one likes to shred things. So that's always fun.
Yep. You come home and there's peanut butter smeared everywhere. That's what I came home to the other day. It's like, oh, somebody went counter surfing and found things. Great.
Wow. Smart puppy. My gosh.
Yeah, they're pretty smart.
So we're going to be talking about your book today, and we're going to be talking about some really cool things within your life. But before we get started, I want you to tell me just a little bit about your book. And before we launch into that, I know that you have the cover to show us. So can we take a look?
I do. Yeah. Okay. It's right behind me. Don't worry. It's not actually this big because otherwise, you can't see my face at all. That's not how big the book is. But I love it. You have wings, which is part of the story, and stars, and the belt of the planet, and the big asteroid. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited. That's why I printed it out so big so I can hang it on my wall. And then stick it nonchalantly in the background.
Well, I mean, you got to put it up, right? That's the way it works.
Celebrate it.
Absolutely. You hang it big up on your wall, and then when you get fan art, you put that around it. You just create this whole wall of your book.
I kind of want to do a ceiling so that way when I'm lying in bed at night, I can just look and this is what I've accomplished. This feels great. And then it'll influence my dreams at night, And then
I love that.
That's my plan. That's my ultimate plan.
That's so awesome. Love that. All right. So let's actually hear a little bit about your book. We've got 1 minute for you to tell us everything we need to know about your book. I'm actually going to pull up my timer because I forgot to do that before.
Timers. Okay. I can do this.
All right. So I'm going to pull this up. We're going to put you on 1 minute, not two, 1 minute.
Okay, so When Planets Fall is about an amputee named Breaker, discovers a wrecked starship, has to fix it under enemy deadline, save his little brother from fighting in a three-way war. So you have 3 enemy tribes, different blood colors, a potential love interest with body modification, if you're into that, sibling relationships, moral grays, don't mind blood, if you like characters with disabilities, PTSD, migraines, then yeah, you might like my book. And told from 3 different perspectives. It's part of a series. And I am so in love with it. Again, I printed out this massively huge poster of my cover because I love my book.
Fantastic.
So,
And you did
yeah.
20 seconds to spare, too.
There you go. See, I was practicing like a 30-second pitch. So now I'm like, oh, 30 extra seconds. Like,
I have so much time. Let me add in everything. That's so funny. All right. So now that we know a little bit about Abby's book, we are going to jump in and play a little bit of a game. So here we go. We are going to play Never Have I Ever confetti style. So we all have some confetti here.
I just threw it already. I'm so sorry. It's like all over me, and oh my gosh, my poor dog is like covered. He is covered in like glitter gold sparkles at the moment. So if you see me bending down, it's just me picking up a handful from his fur and like the ground in my lap because it's everywhere.
That's so funny. Do you have enough that we can throw for the game?
Yeah, it won't be as impressive, but it's collected in my lap somewhat, so we're good.
Awesome. All right, so here's how we play. For Never Have I Ever confetti style, if you have done the thing that I'm going to say, you actually toss the confetti.
All right.
See, I told you I was going to do that, so it didn't go so well.
Yeah.
There we go. It's a little better. And if you have not, you just let it go. And because I cannot see you at the moment, you're going to have to tell me which way you did it.
All right. Play by play.
That's what we're going to do. All right. So, never have I ever written someone that I know into my book.
Oh, okay. There's the glitter. There's the confetti. I just killed off somebody on. I'm not going to say anything more because that would be bad. But I've done that.
Amazing. All right. So we have done that one. Yep. Never have I ever written something into a book based off of your own life.
More confetti. I've done that. A lot of people are cautious though. Like I don't mean to, and then I realize, oh shoot, like that like happened last week. Or I guess I'm really struggling with that. Oops.
That's so funny. But no, that's what makes it realistic, right? We can
seriously
actually happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Never have I ever accidentally told someone a spoiler.
Does my family count? If my family
yes, they count.
Okay. Worst confetti. My mom's pretty persuasive. Like, I just take her for coffee or tea, and then all of a sudden I'm spilling out like every secret of the book. Like, no, come back. Like, you're going to tell everybody. You're sworn to secrecy. And then, the whole family knows. And yeah, it's pretty bad.
Of course. That's so funny. All right, this is our last one. Never have I ever gotten so involved in writing that you forgot to do something.
All the glitter. That one, yeah. I've forgotten to eat. I've forgotten to shake showers. Like, I wear clothes like it's ridiculous. This is a clean shirt I'm wearing. This is rare because I just get so involved. I just forget. It's bad. My husband's like, "You showered today, right? Because this is gross." I'm like, "I know. I'm sorry. I'm an artist. Like, what do you expect from me?" So
that's so funny. See, that's the thing. Creatives, we get a pass on it because we are creatives and we don't think about doing things like showering and changing our clothes when
I know it's so bad and it's so unhealthy, and then I'll get in this rut of like not eating right. So, oh yeah, popcorn for lunch. That's perfectly sustainable. Like, oh wait, I need something. Cheese. I'll eat cheese too. And a week will go by. I realize I haven't really eaten anything solid and like vegetable like. Oh, that's really bad.
Balanced meals. It's great. No, it's good for the creative process. Let's just run with that.
I'll take that. Great excuse.
That's so funny. All right. So now that we're at our end of the game, we're going to move on. And this is a really exciting part of the show. I'm really excited for this because we are going to be talking about an exclusive piece of information about your book. So I know you've got a couple of things to choose from. Tell me what we're going to be talking about.
All right. Well, the first one is probably Breaker. He is the amputee in the story. His left leg has been amputated almost completely up to his hip bone, thigh. Like, I'm blanking on the actual medical term right now. But in my original my visional image of him that, when you first get when you're drafting, he actually wasn't an amputee. And I was about halfway through the first draft when I realized there's just something missing from this. I can't figure out what it is. The ending came to me and realized, oh my gosh, like, I know what this is. He's an amputee and he has a prosthetic leg. And all of a sudden I went back from the beginning and just entered all the details in. And it was like every single sentence was waiting for that one detail to come in. Things he said could be totally be reinterpreted. And I finished out the draft and it hadn't even been said, like, haven't looked back since. It was just meant to be from the very beginning.
Fantastic. Now, do you have another one for us? Because I know you had a couple.
Yeah, I do. Another one is Luca. He's one of the main characters, one of the point of views. He's the one that has migraines. He actually didn't have migraines in the original version too, and he wasn't ever supposed to have a point of view. And then as I was writing him, I realized, man, the story is like kind of falling flat. There's so much more to him than I think that I'm digging into. Spent more time with him. I ended up adding almost 20,000 words after I already sold the book to his perspective. And I'm totally in love with him now. And right now I might like him more than Breaker, but don't tell him that because like he's actually the main character. So I don't know if you've ever had a fling with one of your side characters, but this is totally what's going on right now.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
You know what? I think that happens a lot though. Like a lot of people love the side characters. For as much as they love the main characters, there's always that one side character that they just love.
Yeah, I think Luca is that for me. Then my other little kind of exclusive tidbit thing was actually about my writing process. You usually think of a writer, oh man, they're like sitting down for hours, they're hunkering down, they're like slaving away at this manuscript all by themselves. That actually wasn't the case for me. I actually didn't write this book technically by myself. Since I have trouble reading due to my own migraines and screens can bother me a lot, I actually had a lot of help with my editing. My mom, my sister would come over. They would read the book out loud to me, and I would tell them audibly what I wanted them to change. So we would be sitting there for hours, like sipping our tea, and they'd be like typing in all my edits. Or I would hand write all my edits out, and then I would scan, hundreds and hundreds of pages to my mom via email. And I would wait for a couple days and she'd be up all night, like typing in my edits again and then emailing me back. And so that way I could keep doing it. And it was really a family process to actually get this book out. So this wouldn't be there if not for my family, which is humiliating but humbling to say at the same time, but also just shows how great my family is and how writing a book is really a team effort.
You know what? Thumbs up for your mom. And I know she's great. My mama helped me with my book too. So she did some of my editing for me and she went through it after I was all done. So we just love our mamas and our families. It's so much great.
Moms should get awards, like,
right?
Little
they should get little stickers. We just put them on their shirts and we'll just create a Reading Transforms Young Adult Edition sticker and we'll just send them to all the mamas.
The Mom Award. Thanks for being amazing.
We should do that. Oh, we should have a special episode where we just all come on and thank our moms.
Oh my gosh, my mom would be the first one signed on. Like, she's saying my name, right? She's saying my name. I'm waiting for her to say my name. I'm like, okay, well, we'll get there.
That's so funny. No, now we have to do that. We're definitely going to do that at some point. I was actually thinking about doing some kind of award type thing toward the summer. So we're going to keep that one in mind. I'm excited.
Good runner up, just saying.
All right. So we talked about our exclusive information. We heard about the book in under 1 minute. We did a really great game with confetti because we love confetti. Now I want to talk a little bit about you. So tell me, how has your week been? What's the best thing that has happened this week?
Best thing that's happened, actually, you're all going to think I'm probably nuts, but this week was Botox week for me, which, again, like, why is like, that's like weird. You only see that on TV. Well, it's actually a medical treatment for chronic migraine. And I swear I'm the only person who walks into the doctor's office like, woohoo, I'm getting 30 shots today, guys. Like, it's my day. But it's always really exciting because the nurses are really great. And I know I'm going to feel good for the next month. So I'm always like there early. And it's, again, who like picks getting shots as the highlight of their week? I mean, really, like that's so weird. But yeah, it was one of mine. And then I started doing a little bit on a new work in progress. Just, it's one of those pots stewing in the background for a later project. So I actually curled up and watched Les Mis for several hours and like rewind it and watch songs over again. It was just writing down everything that stood out to me. So that was a fun little break for life. That was on Friday, so 2 days ago. So that was really fun just to take a break and do research, aka watch movies. This is what I love about writing. Research is fun.
Isn't it great when, as authors or as creatives, your research involves watching movies or going to musicals or listening to music? It's so great.
Yep, totally. Like I feel like I'm a bandit getting out like, oh, everyone else has to go to a 9 to 5 job, like, and then come home and do stuff like I can watch movies, like read books and do fun things.
You can Netflix.
I can Netflix. Yes. I can like buy Netflix. Yep. Or like buying books and writing them off on taxes. Like, well, this is like homework. This is great. Like, I love this.
It's best. It's the best thing ever to be an author because you get away with so much. Like other people, they watch movies and Netflix to relax. We do it for research, and we can do it as part of our job whenever we want throughout the course of the day. It's great.
Yep, it's true.
Okay, so speaking of books and our inspiration for our books, let's talk about your biggest book nerd problem. I absolutely love hearing about this because everybody has a different book nerd problem or something that kind of is related to bookish people that only bookish people understand. So, Abby, what do you have for us?
I actually have 2 book nerd problems for you. So the first is that it took me until the last 2 years of my life. I always thought whenever I picked up a book, I had to finish it. Like it was law. My fingers had to keep turning. Even if I hated the book, I had to keep turning the pages. I had to finish that darn thing. I spent money on it. I checked it out from the library, whatever. And again, it took me until the last 2 years to realize I don't actually have to read everything that I pick up. If I don't like a book, I can put it down. And it was so liberating because there's some books that just aren't for me. And I didn't have to torture myself and let my to be read pile like stack up of things I actually wanted to read. And that was, I don't know, it was just one of those small quirky things, but
I don't blame you. I just discovered that too, and it is so nice. If there's something that's just not quite clicking with you, that you don't have to finish it, it's great.
Yeah. And the other thing is exclusively a book nerd problem. Okay, in junior high, I was failing math, which I know some bookie people are like great at math. I am not one of those people, but I was feeling so bad. My parents actually grounded me from reading for 6 months. It was terrible. I wasn't allowed to read at all. And I mean, granted, my math, I got a B in math that semester, so I was able to pull it up, but it was miserable. Like, oh my gosh, I'd come home and wouldn't know what to do with myself except map out like parabolas, and who cares about little swoopy parabolas and numbers? Oh my gosh, it was the worst. I still like have PTSD from that because like there's something inside of me that shakes whenever I see a parabola because those were the cause of my misery for 6 months. It's so bad.
That's a really long time to not be able to read books. Like I wouldn't be able to handle myself if I couldn't get my hands on a book for 6 months.
Yeah. That entire time, I think I saved up maybe like $300, with my allowance. I walked into Barnes and Noble and I came out with like $2 after that period. And this
well, I mean, you gotta catch up.
I know. I had like 20 pounds worth of books because I was like, I have 6 months to catch up on. This is great.
Yeah, and I bet you went through them really fast, too, because when you're deprived of books and you finally get them, you just go through them.
Nope, it's so true. It's not even like food. You just, when you eat ice cream, you just kind of slurp it and you don't actually taste it, partly because your tongue's too numb to really enjoy it. It's like that. You're like, rereading.
That's so funny. I love that. All right, so let's talk for a few minutes about your book. I know that you have a lot going on in your story, and the first thing I want to know is how did you come up with the idea for this?
Great question. It's actually 2 ideas that I had a long time ago kind of mushed together. I actually wrote a blog post about this, but when I was a freshman in high school, I went to this Christian camp and there's this really hot like camp director. And so, of course I'm paying attention to every sermon and every little play thing they put on because he was really cute. It's actually like how I met my best friend. So that's a whole nother story. But I remembered the theme of the camp, and it was about how like the Israelites were traveling through like the Middle East or whatever, and or how Christians, this land is not their home, but that they settled in it. And just this idea of being a stranger in the foreign land. And that just kind of stuck with me. And then in college, one of my assignments I majored in writing. I was supposed to write this 10-20 page short story about something. And that idea came back to me of just a stranger in a foreign land that they think is their home. And so I like sat with that more, and I wrote the short story about it. And, you know, of course, I like writing. I was never good at writing in college. I mean, I'm not one of those students that, oh, I got an A in everything, so I know I'm going to be authors. Like, well, I failed at everything, but I really loved it. So maybe this is really where I'm supposed to be. That was me. But so I didn't get a good grade on it. But and my teacher was like, this has more promise. You should sit on it. So after I wrote my first novel and it didn't go anywhere, the second novel didn't really go anywhere. And this novel, I was coming up with the idea for this. Again, that idea came back, that short story came back about a boy discovering a starship and having to like fix it or something to do with that. So if you actually look at the short story, you'll see a lot of the same characters. Breaker was still there. Tanya, his girlfriend, was still there. Chief Malvin's still there. They all had different names and different roles. King Oma was still there. So yeah, it just kind of reincarnated and then grew and grew and grew. And I got a lot better at writing since that short story grade. So that's good news.
That's so funny. And I love that this actually originated back in your college days. And it's something that kind of you let sit for a while, and then you brought that back to life and gave it some new angles and some new characters. And
Yeah.
it was really cool. I love that.
Yeah. My very first novel was kind of like that. I mean, it's shelved and let me tell you, it looks real pretty on my hard drive. But that was also a kind of meshing of ideas that just from short stories from assignments in college, and again, didn't go anywhere, but still it was kind of a reimagining, re-collaborating, whatever.
That's so amazing. I love that. And I love that you're pulling these things from your past into your present and you're transforming it into your books. I think that's so amazing. So tell me a little bit. I know that some of the characters were those original characters from your original short story, but tell me how you really ended up shaping your main three. I know you've got three main ones in this story.
Yeah.
Tell me who they are and a little bit about them.
Yeah. Well, first there's Breaker. He was always the main character to me. To me, I kind of wanted to dive into sibling relationships. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. And so there's a mama bear side of me for my siblings. Like I was whenever my second sister got in trouble with, the bullies at their school, I was like, and I was always super tall too. So I probably had at least 100 pounds and like a foot on every single kid, like in my elementary school, at least. So I would chase down those bullies for her and like threaten them. And this was back in 6th grade, like
I love that. I love that.
So, and then even my middle sister just started a boyfriend. And I mean, he probably hates me, but I've already been like, so tell me about yourself. Like, let me see this. So I definitely want to explore some of the ups and downsides of siblings, and just not every sibling relationship is perfect. And you see this a lot in like Wyatt, like the older sibling protects like the younger sibling and they go to war and all this stuff for them. And the younger sibling's always grateful. But like, what if that's not actually true? Because that's not always the case that's not the case in my life. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes. So I kind of wanted to dive into that. And so that's a lot of what shaped it, was Breaker and his older brother dying, him trying to protect his younger brother, this war, and then having this disability that to him he sees as an obstacle keeping him from this. So what do you do with all that? So that's Breaker. Milani was really fun to write. I don't even know how she started in my head, but I just thought of this like angel with metal wings, except she wasn't an angel. And so that's like pretty much all I can tell you. And then I got into like PTSD a little bit and body modification. And again, this theme of home, like what is home? What are you willing to sacrifice for it? and she's very much a lot more poetic. So she'll stick words together that you wouldn't normally, you would see maybe in, again, poetry, but you wouldn't necessarily see in narrative form, and just coming in from that outsider perspective. And that's why she was really fun to write. Luca, again, he wasn't ever supposed to get a point of view, but he's almost like Breaker's antithesis. And this, again, wasn't intentional, but then as the story kept evolving and drafting, they totally became each other's opposite. Where Breaker loves, like Luca hates. Where Luca or Breaker hates, like Luca loves. And like, what does love look like? What does love look like to Breaker? What does love look like to Luca? And just comparing and contrasting those two. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. And he's really terse. So Breaker will just kind of ramble on, whereas Luca won't say anything if he can say it in 3 words, he'll say it in 2. Like Breaker will say 10. Like, so it was fun doing all the different personalities and stuff. So
That's so fun. And I love that you do it from more than 2 perspectives. So you've got all of their perspectives in this story, and it kind of gives that voice to all of these different things, which I really love.
yeah. And I think what was fun about that was working with bias. You know how you see somebody and you just judge them and you kind of don't like them and you just, oh, well, they're like icky people. Yeah. And then later you found out, oh, they're not that bad. So that was really, oh my gosh, that was probably the most fun thing, working with all 3 of their biases, because they see the world as true. Like how I see the world is, that's how I label everything and understand it. But what if that's not actually true? And just how you interpret people and understand people differently. That was what was fun, was working with 3. You get that a little bit more.
Yes. Now, I love that, and I love that we're running with the number 3, because I know within your story, you kind of have these different divisions within the people of your story, and that is done by the color of their blood. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So at first it started on real scientific evidence of just like, okay, these people evolved. So if they maybe had evolved from like crustacean-like forms a long time ago, what color, if they were oxidizing more? And then after a while, it just kind of evolved and I just threw that out of the window. Like just went with the different blood colors. So it did start with like actual science, and then it just got too fun and I just went with it. But yeah, so there's 3 different tribes on this planet Scarlatti. Humans have red, which is what we have and what I'm wearing. So, you know, it all fits. The Elix have blue blood and the Herons have green. And again, that used to start out with scientific stuff, and then I just had too much fun with it. So I went with it.
I love that. I think that's so great. Now, are there any other traits that kind of distinguish these different groups, or is it specifically with the blood colors?
There's a little bit that does with the Elix more than the Herons and the humans. So I guess if you were to stereotypic stereotypicalize, stereotype. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. The herons might be a bit more cruel. They're seen as the cruelest of the three. And they have a real penchant for like scientific like fervor and stuff. The Elix, blue blood, they actually have a little bit more physical manifestations that make them different. Their skin's thicker. How they do with pregnancy is a little bit different for them. But otherwise, if you're looking at a Elix and heron and human all lined up side by side, you would not be able to tell them apart.
Gotcha. Well, that's so interesting. I love this. Cannot wait to learn more about this because I have not had the opportunity to actually read your book yet. But I've got a really great comment on that, which we're going to get to in just a few minutes. So, I love this. Oh, so fun. All right. So, is there anything else we need to know about your story before we move on to our Q&A?
Not really. Just I had fun with it. There's so much. There's probably way more of myself in each of these characters than I ever thought there would be, and I want there to be. But the good and the bad. But
yeah.
I love
You know
it.
what? That actually brings up one more point because I did want to ask you. I know that we have mentioned this a little bit within the show about your chronic migraines and that you've kind of written that into the story. But give me just a little bit of oversight on how this shaped your story.
Yeah. So I have chronic migraine. It is a neurological disability, disease, disorder, whichever word you're comfortable with. I'm probably the least picky person about labels like that. I just don't care. So I've had migraines since birth, And then I slowly started transforming into having chronic migraine. And again, there's different types of chronic migraine, but my specific type is I have a 24/7 migraine. So that means, yeah, like right now I have a migraine. But so I've had one ongoing for 9 years now. But then you get different headache disorders on top of that and different migraines on top of that. So it's a really, really, really complicated disease, and it's not easily treated. So this really impacts my day-to-day living, everything I do, every decision I make. I tried doing an Instagram story of 24 hours in my life this week, and it was so bizarre because I didn't realize how much I subconsciously interact and make decisions about my day and don't even think about it because it's been almost 10 years since it's been chronic that I don't even think about it. So having to try to voice that was really difficult. But I loved how chronic migraine influenced the story because I knew I wanted characters that had to deal with physical things, that you want a goal, but your body is an obstacle. So what do you do with that? I love Katniss Everdeen, but I probably would have loved her more if she had something about herself she had to not even conquer, but just work with it and get around that obstacle to get her goal. To me, that just makes things so much more interesting. And it's so true to me because everybody's got something. And yeah, and even just seeing the different perspectives of how people approach different disabilities. Like Breaker sees his as just an obstacle. This is the thing preventing me from my goal. Luca straight up sees his as a weakness and treats it as such. He doesn't tell anybody about it and he hides it. Milani isn't even aware of hers. So it's really fun to be able to work with how people see disability because again that's my life every day.
Fantastic. All right, so listen guys, we are now at the point of our show where you can be asking some questions. Go ahead, pop those in the chat box over to the right.
I'm ready.
Let us know what you've got. She's ready. We're going to give you just a second to go ahead and get those questions in because I know we've got just a little bit of a lag time. So let me know what you want to know and I will ask Abby for you. And while we are kind of giving you a second to do that, I have a fabulous announcement for you. I'm really excited for this. We have your first access to When Planets Fall. We've got a free sample chapter for you, and I am actually going to pop that up in the chat box right now. So as you are typing, we are going to display that for you, and you can grab it right there. Now, if you are watching our rebroadcast, we are going to post the link down below in the show notes. So do not worry, you can still get your hands on this first chapter of When Planets Fall. It is down in the show notes below, or if you're live with us, check out the chat box over to the right. Big, bold, beautiful. You can click on it and download it immediately so that you can decide if this is the book for you. And Abby, I know the book is not out yet. When does it come out?
It comes out May 10th by Soulmate Publishing. You can find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The ebook releases a little bit earlier. So if you want to go ebook, you'll get a little surprise in your Kindle sooner. So that actually comes out April 12th. So I have a split publication date, which is fun. I get to celebrate twice. And yeah, I just threw confetti for that.
I love that. Oh, I love that. That is so much fun. So guys, listen, ebooks are awesome. I'm a huge fan of ebooks. If you want to read it early, you can get it early if you buy the ebook. So jump on there, get your pre-order now. We're going to drop those links over in the chat box for you so that you can get your hands on a copy of this as well. So I'm going to bounce back over to my chat box while that is up, and we are going to take a look at some questions. So here we go.
Yay, questions.
Questions are the best. Heather would like to know how you decided on the colors of the blood that define your different groups.
Ooh, that's a great one. Again, this started from scientific research. So humans, red, that made sense. I originally was looking at like mollusks and like what they have for blood and crustaceans and insects. And originally, when I was first drafting, herons had the thicker skin, which was kind of reminiscent of the crustaceans and like the insects, which they typically, I'm like getting them mixed up. The Elix had the thicker skin because insects tend to have like purple, bluish blood. So that's kind of where that evolved from. And then the herons were originally, they had purple blood, but I wanted something that stood out more from blue, which is why I went green. And that's when science went out the window. But originally, that's where it kind of came from.
That's so funny. Originally based in science, not so much anymore, but it's all good.
Yeah. I just went with it.
Yes. Okay, so Lisa wants to know how long was the writing process for you from the time you started writing to the time that you got your book deal?
That's a great question too. It took me a little longer. It probably took me 2 years. But also I was also trying to query my first novel at the same time, which got shelved. So as I was querying that, I was writing this story. So I probably started the first draft 2014, and then last year's when I sold it. But again, during this time, I'm dealing with chronic migraine, and so my work schedule, working writing, I can't really hold a normal 9 to 5 job because of it. I'm working around that. So it probably took me a little longer than most people to write the book. But then once I sold it, since I'm working with a small publisher, it's getting out a lot quicker. So if I went with a bigger publisher, it probably wouldn't have come out to next year. But I sold it last year and it's ready to go this year. So that's really handy.
And that actually brings me to my next question. Amber would like to know why you chose this publisher to work with.
First, they loved it, which is really exciting to hear. Mostly because they were a small press. I've been getting some bites with agents, but I wasn't people loving it. You know how like it's really hard to work with agents, or they're great people, but sometimes getting them to sign on is like really tricky.
It's a big deal,
yeah. Like my first book, I got so close. My second book, I mean, so close. I have another book that I've written, and it's just kind of sitting right now because I can't work on more than once with chronic migraine, so it's kind of in the shadows. I have couple people interested in that one, but since I'd actually entered a contest with When Planets Fall, and that's actually how I met my editor. And she was really willing to work with me with chronic migraine, and she's been so great about it. She's a little more hands off, which I really appreciate because I might go dark for a month at a time if I have a really bad month. But she's also willing to work with my published date, and so that to give me more time to work with it, because originally it was supposed to be published last year, but I was in the hospital for a while. I just couldn't do that. And they're so willing to work with me about that. And I was like, all right, this is a person for me. Like, I love this. So that's why I signed for them.
That's fantastic. All right, so we've got a question. Within the interview, you mentioned that you had a couple of other books that you have been working on and querying. How many books to date have you written, whether they are published or not?
Again, great question. I have my first one. It was called 12, or 12 is Beauty. I never really settled on a title. That one's looking real nice and shiny on my hard drive, not going anywhere. I started writing, it was a duology. So I got about halfway through the second when I realized it wasn't going to sell. I wrote this one, When Planets Fall. I'm working on a novella for it, which is maybe 3/4 of the way done. Working on the second book for it currently. I've written a middle grade, and that one is in edits, but I'm kind of working on it on the side whenever I have time between like the novella and the second book and this. And yeah, just trying to get feedback. Then I also have some stuff that's stewing in the pot that I haven't actually written yet. So completely completed manuscripts, like start to finish completed, maybe like 3.5, and then halfway completed, maybe 2. You're working with multiple projects, so it's kind of hard to say, well, this one's for sure done. Like, this one's for sure done. So they're all in different stages, but I consider if I have a working first draft and have done at least a round or 2 edits, it's like pretty done. So that's kind of how I differentiate. It's close enough to count.
That's so funny. So I've got a question. I know you said you started writing back in college, but when did you decide that this was something you really wanted to do? You really wanted to pursue this professionally? How long has that been for you?
Again, great question. It was after college. I did college in 3 years because I got so sick. Part of it was just the way my credits worked. I have no idea. That was just one of those grace of God type things. I just walked across the stage, took my diploma, and went took a nap. But yeah, it was so bad.
That's the best picture ever.
Yeah, I was like, peace out, y'all. I need to take some medicine. I made it. Yeah, I don't think I would have graduated if I had a 4th year. But the day I got home from graduation, I was in the dentist, which is a great way to wrap up your college life, is, getting a cavity fill. But the technician knew an author who was looking for an assistant. And so I interviewed for it. I wrote up some stuff for her. And I actually, for the first year and a half after outside college, I worked for an author. And so she taught me how to edit, how to do voice, some marketing stuff, how to use WordPress, just simple things like that. Even giveaways, like I would take her giveaways to the mailbox, graphic design stuff, and I loved it. But at the same time, I was only working part-time, but every day when I got home, I'd be so sick. I'd be in so much pain because working with somebody else's deadline, like if she needed me to do a round of edits for something, I'd have to get it done by the end of the day. And my body's going, no, but my boss is going, yeah, I want that paycheck. Like, you do this. So it eventually got to the point, again, after a year and a half, I had to quit. Like, I was so sick. If I wasn't at work, I was on the couch. But meantime, because I was having so much fun editing and doing this stuff with her, I decided to start trying to write my own book just on the side for fun. So then once I quit my job, well, then I had this time in between Vampire Diaries, because, that's what you do to recoup, is watch like Stefan and Damon take off their shirts. So I was working on this book at the same time. So it wasn't my goal to get published originally. At first, I just wanted to write something. First, I wanted to get better. And then I just wanted to finish. And then, I got finished. And then maybe I should do something with this. And so I kept learning. And then this one didn't go anywhere. So maybe I should try another one. So just kind of kept it going and going and going until eventually I got published. And this is probably the only thing I can manage while doing chronic migraine. So it worked really well. It's one of those things I kind of fell into, but didn't really fall into because I was also studying for it at the same time, which is how I got the job. So I don't know how that works out, but it did.
That all worked out beautifully with a nice shiny bow on top.
Shiny confetti.
Confetti. Well, that actually brings me to our next part, which is our kisses and confetti moments. So we are wrapping this up. Thank you guys so much for all of those fabulous questions. If you have more questions, feel free to send them in, and we will get Abby to do some little videos for us, or maybe we can get her on Instagram stories and do some really cool stuff with that and get those questions answered for you. I know we had a lot going on today, but we are at our kisses and confetti moment. So over on Reading Transforms and Young Adult Edition, we do this thing called Kisses and Confetti. Kisses is for the thing we love this week, and confetti is for the people we love this week. So, Abby, I'm going to need something that went really well or that you really love today that you want to give a shout out to, and one person that you want to give a shout out to. So, who are your kisses for, or what is your kisses for? That one thing that was really cool this week, and then we'll get to your confetti in a second.
The one thing, actually this. I am reading The Diabolic right now, and at first I wasn't sure I'd like it, but I am totally in love with it right now. I mean, it's space opera, it's like evil person killing, protecting, but they're actually secretly good. Like, it's really cool. And you can see I'm not very far in, but I'm totally in love with it right now. And I've been reading that the last couple days. So that would be my kisses for.
Fantastic. So tell me your confetti, which is for a person.
Definitely my husband, hands down. He's off taking my spunky dog, Athena, to the physical therapy right now, so I can do this. He picked up groceries for me so I could sit down to write. He brought me a painkiller this morning so I could get out of bed. So he's got my back. Like, he's my person. And I made him cookies on Friday, say thank you, and he ate them all. I got like 2, but I still love him. So he definitely gets all my confetti every time, hands down.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, Abby, thank you so much for coming on Young Adult Edition today. This was awesome. Guys, make sure that you are grabbing that free sample chapter of When Planets Fall, and that comes out in May or April. If you happen to grab that ebook, you can get your hands on the full version. So check it out now and then get yourself pre-ordered because you do not want to miss this. Abby, any last words for us?
No, just thanks, and thanks for having me, and this is fun, and check this out, read the free chapter. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. I cannot wait to have you back over on Young Adults Edition and over at Reading Transforms, because I feel like you've got a lot of really great things to be teaching other authors and aspiring writers. Speaking of which, stick around, guys, because in just a little bit, I am jumping over to RTTV, which is our Reading Transforms TV. I am going to be talking about 5 tips for filming simple videos for authors. So we talk about video all the time over on Reading Transforms. We talk about why it's so important with those social media algorithms to getting your content seen. So if you are someone who is an author, if you are a book blogger or a booktuber who is trying to get your brand out to more people so that more people see what you're putting out there and you get them to interact with you, you want to check out this episode of RTTV, because we're going to be talking about 5 simple things that you can be doing to create very simple videos for your author brand, your book blogger brand, your booktuber brand, that are really going to make all the difference when you're putting this video out on the internet. And we may even give you some tips for how to use video without necessarily being on camera. We do have our fear-free filming course, so that is not what this is, but this is breaking down a couple of 5 very simple tips that you can be using and implementing into your everyday video life. So go check that out. Cannot wait to see you there. Next week, we will be back with Amber Duell. She is joining us next week right here on Young Adult Edition. You guys have a fabulous day and stay inspired.
Bye.